What happens when your boyfriend's kids move in and turn out to be little monsters?
Okay, let's unpack this. Today's deep dive is, well, it's a story that really digs into some tricky modern stuff, love, money, family dynamics, and a good dose of, let's call it audacity.
Yeah, audacity is a good word for it.
We're looking at a Reddit post, My House, by You Throw Ramartha. And it's quite the ride. It really makes you think about what people feel they're owed versus what they're actually entitled to.
Absolutely. The entitlement theme is huge here.
So our mission basically is to explore those layers of expectation and reality in Martha's situation. See what we can, pull out of it.
Sounds good. This is a fascinating case study.
Right, so let's set the scene. You've got Martha. She's 48, seems pretty independent. Her daughter Micah is 23, grown up, living out of state.
Already established, yeah.
Then there's Henry, Martha's boyfriend, similar age. They'd been together about 9 months, and here's the kicker. 6 months before this story unfolds, Henry and his 2 kids move into Martha's house.
Ah, okay. The blended family scenario. Always potential for drama there.
Exactly. He has a 17-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old son, and, well, let's just say that alarm bell you mentioned. It starts ringing pretty quickly. It's not always the kids causing all the friction.
Often it reveals more about the parents, doesn't it?
That's what Martha found. Her first impressions of Henry's kids were not great. She called them, and this is a direct quote, rude as hell, also little monsters.
Wow. Okay. Doesn't hold back.
Not at all. And she pinned it on what she called non-parenting. She said something like, even if they were left to their own devices, you'd think basic decency might kick in. But no, it was like they drank bad manners straight from a bottle.
Oof. That paints a picture. Imagine feeling that way in your own home.
Right. She actually started trying to avoid them, just to dodge being called the evil stepmom. You know that trope.
Yeah, the pressure on women in that role is immense, trying to keep the peace but also maintain sanity.
Exactly. So she's literally avoiding parts of her own house, and when she brings up their behavior to Henry, he just brushes it off. Come on, they're just adjusting to you.
Adjusting to her.
My thoughts exactly. Like she's a new sofa or something. Am I a pair of shoes? Really, Henry? That's the vibe, that feeling where you have to absorb their chaos in your space.
That is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about his approach to partnership and responsibility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Before we even get to the money stuff.
Totally. What does that initial dynamic, the non-parenting and his dismissiveness, tell us?
Well, it's fascinating because the living situation immediately throws these underlying issues into sharp relief. It's not just about the kid's behavior, though that's part of it. It's fundamentally about Henry's attitude towards conflict, responsibility, and frankly, respect for Martha's space and concerns.
Right.
His response, that she needs to adjust, shows a massive misalignment in expectations. And this connects directly to that idea of entitlement we mentioned. It's like an unjustified belief that you deserve accommodation without offering mutual respect or effort.
A sort of emotional entitlement.
Precisely. He expects her to absorb the disruption his family brings. That's a really shaky foundation for blending lives. You need shared responsibility, clear boundaries. He wasn't showing that.
Okay, so fast forward a little. About 10 days before she writes this post, Henry pulls out all the stops. Big romantic proposal.
Ah, the plot thickens.
Totally, like picture it. Garden full of flowers, he gets down on one knee, mentions his arthritis, which is a detail, and pops the question.
Classic move.
And Martha, she actually says yes, which might surprise you after the kid stuff.
Yeah.
Well, her reasoning was he wasn't a bad partner overall. Smart, funny, seemed to have a good heart. And this is key. Since moving in, he'd paid all the bills, groceries, utilities, everything.
Okay, so he was contributing financially to the household.
Yes. So she thought, why not? Companionship is nice. He seems okay otherwise. Let's give it a shot.
Fair enough. People make compromises.
So she accepts. Engagement's on. But literally the next day, Martha changes the game. She sits him down, calm as anything, and says, we'll need a lawyer to draw up a prenup to protect both our assets.
Boom. Practicality enters the chat.
Immediately, and Henry's reaction, pure drama, looks at her like she's crazy, uses this wounded, innocent voice. Why? I don't own anything that matters more than you.
Oh, that line. Smooth butts.
Right. Martha's thinking, yeah, I know you don't, buddy, but she just smiles sweetly, plays along for a second. Oh, that's sweet. But she is not backing down.
For her, sticking to it.
She brings it up again, zeroing in. We'll especially need to cover the house.
The main assets. Makes sense.
And that's when he really amps up the playing dumb routine, shaking his head, acting baffled, like soap opera level. Martha sees right through it, obviously. He's just dodging.
Avoidance, classic tactic when faced with uncomfortable truths.
So she just lays it out, plain and simple, firm voice. This house is mine, and when I'm gone, it's going to my daughter. That's only fair. She even explains she paid off most of it herself after her divorce.
Okay. Clarifying ownership completely.
And this, right here, connects back to what you were saying about entitlement. The romance hits a brick wall of practicality.
Exactly. This is the collision point. His romantic persona meets the reality of assets and legacy. And it forces that question. What did he actually think moving in and paying bills for 6 months entitled him to?
Yeah. Did he think groceries were a down payment?
It highlights that massive difference between contributing to household running costs and acquiring ownership in a major pre-existing asset.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing at all, especially something as significant as a house she largely paid for herself.
Definitely operating under different assumptions. So after she lays out the house situation, Henry just stares, then says, I don't get it.
Martha, clearly losing patience, spells it out even more clearly. If we split up, you don't get half this house. It's my daughter's inheritance.
Leaving no room for doubt. And then Martha says he gasped, like hand on chest, full on dramatic gasp. So you're saying Micah gets the house and you're not even thinking about my kids.
Wow. The audacity meter just spiked.
Right. Martha just looks him straight in the eye. Are you serious right now? I didn't give a birth to them.
Direct and legally, factually correct.
He then stares at her like she's pure evil, launches the guilt trip. I never thought you'd be this heartless to my kids. That house is worth a fortune. It could give 5 kids a comfortable life. Why give it all to your daughter?
The fairness argument. Twisted to mean, share your assets with my kids.
Martha doesn't budge, just repeats. Because she's my daughter, and it's her inheritance.
Stand at her ground.
But Henry keeps pushing, tries a different angle, more manipulative. So, there's no way we could sell the house, buy something smaller, help my daughter with college.
Whoa, okay. That's bold.
Martha's response to that, she just stares at him and asks point blank, are you stupid?
Huh. Sometimes the simple questions are the best.
And here's the context, the detail that makes his request absolutely mind-blowing. This house, she bought it ages ago, before the area blew up. Now, it's Silicon Valley adjacent. Millionaires all around.
Oh, I see where this is going.
The property value went through the roof. It's worth, wait for it, $4 million.
$4 million. Okay. Wow.
Yep. And Martha confirms, looking him dead in the eye, yes, all of it is for my daughter.
Okay, that $4 million figure changes everything, or rather, it clarifies everything. His suggestion to sell wasn't just asking for a favor, it was asking her to liquidate a massive, life-changing asset she built for his kids.
Exactly.
The sheer audacity is just staggering. This is textbook false entitlement. The idea that simply being there, being in the relationship, paying some bills, somehow grants him or his kids a claim on her multi-million-dollar asset. It's based on that.
Yeah.
Proximity.
Hope. Wishful thinking.
Probably. It forces us and the listener to ask, does living somewhere for 6 months give you a right to a piece of it? Would you sacrifice your child's massive inheritance for someone else's kids, especially kids who, by her account, aren't exactly pleasant?
Not likely for most people.
Martha's stance directly challenges that unspoken, unearned expectation. It's powerful.
So after the $4 million truth bomb, Henry apparently just walked off in shock, gave her the silent treatment for 2 days.
Ah, the silent treatment. Another manipulation tactic.
Martha's internal monologue was apparently, I kind of wish your kids would try the silent treatment too. I'm tired of their demands. Which, honestly, fair enough.
Can't blame her for feeling that way by this point.
When silence didn't work, he switched back to guilt trips. Kids were away, so he tries again. It's just not fair for Micah to get everything.
Still pushing that angle.
Martha's response. Pure gold. Dry, sarcastic, but cuts right through it. It's not fair. Random kids thinking they're entitled to my daughter's inheritance.
Mic drop. She's just calling it exactly what it is.
He then tries the last resort. Accusation. So you do hate my kids.
Trying to make it about emotion, about her being mean.
But Martha is having none of it. Calmly, clearly, she says, no, I don't like them. Let's not confuse the two. That distinction is crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a masterclass in clarity under pressure. She separates her personal feelings about their behavior from the core principle of inheritance and ownership.
Yeah.
She even says later in the post something like, even if his kids had halos and wings, they still wouldn't get her daughter's inheritance. It wasn't about liking them. It was about what's right, what's hers, and what's her daughter's legacy.
Such clear boundaries.
Exactly. It shows clarity stating the non-negotiable. Consistency, not backing down. and consequence being ready to act, which she does. It's a fantastic example of resisting emotional manipulation that tries to blur those lines.
So Martha knew it was over. She basically told Henry straight up, connecting his kid's behavior to any possibility of generosity. Maybe if your kids showed an ounce of respect, basic manners, maybe I'd have considered setting something aside, but they don't. And I don't reward bad behavior.
Connecting actions and consequences, something he apparently didn't do.
Then Henry tries the sob story. They're just kids. The divorce was hard.
Oh,
Bertha's internal thought, the divorce was 5 years ago, Henry.
but sheer exasperation, she wasn't buying it.
Good. It was irrelevant to the core issue.
So, the final scene. Martha puts on this air of fake sympathy, shakes her head, takes off the engagement ring, hands it back to him,
The symbolic end.
and then immediately starts packing his kid's stuff. Tells them to get out.
Wow. Decisive.
And they left. Now, apparently he's blowing up her phone. Texts, calls, begging. She calls him a mosquito that won't die, blocking him everywhere.
Sounds about right. He doesn't give up easily. She even considered sending one last text, just a final little jab. Just so you know, even if your kids were angels, they were never getting a piece of my daughter's inheritance. Bye.
Uh-huh. Did she send it?
The post doesn't say, but I really hope she did. Perfect sign-off.
It really is.
So that's the whirlwind. Martha goes from engaged to kicking him out, all to protect her house, her daughter's future. It's a really potent example of someone recognizing and shutting down that sense of entitlement.
And the manipulation that often comes with it. She saw it for what it was.
Yeah. Which brings us to the big question for you listening. Was Martha unfair? Or just brutally honest? Maybe necessarily so.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How do you handle expectations in relationships, especially when big things like money or family legacies are on the table? And it's a reminder, too, that living together doesn't automatically grant property rights in most places. That prenup discussion, crucial, even without a $4 million house involved.
Absolutely. Never assume.
And how do you spot that line where expectation crosses into entitlement, maybe even into emotional manipulation? It's tricky territory.
Definitely something to chew on. So think about it. What do you value more? Is it keeping the peace, even if it means compromising what's fundamentally yours or your family's? Or is it drawing that hard line, protecting what's right, even if it causes friction, even if it feels uncomfortable?
Martha chose the uncomfortable honesty.
She did. Maybe her story helps you think about your own boundaries and why people might expect certain things from you.
And that's a wrap for today's story. We'll catch you next week with a fresh new story. Oh, and we'd really love to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts below, and here's a beautiful video highly recommended for you. See you soon.